Hey everybody, I'm Alan with Dad's Playing Games, and this is the introductory video for a new campaign I'll be doing in the game of Frostgrave. Frostgrave is a miniatures skirmish war game written by Joseph A. McCullough and published by Osprey Games back in 2015. Be sure to check the details below for links to some of our other Frostgrave content, and there you'll also find timestamps for this video in case you want to jump ahead or behind to a specific spot. For this campaign, we will be going through the scenarios found in the Dark Alchemy expansion, as well as the Perilous Dark expansion book. Normally, Frostgrave is a head-to-head game where two players create warbands and have them battle against each other as they try to collect treasure. For the two books I'll be going through, all of those scenarios are actually a solo campaign, so I'll be creating just one warband that will be going through all those scenarios. If you have seen some of our other content, you'll know that instead of regular miniatures, I use Lego and other bricks and building blocks for all of my figures and my terrain. And I plan to continue that trend through this series. Another thing you might know is that we already have a solo campaign on our YouTube channel. For that, I created 4 warbands that I'm having battle against each other, and I'm just playing it just myself rather than with another person. So this new campaign will be a true solo campaign. And for it, I've created a brand new warband with the intent of taking them through all 13 of the scenarios found in these 2 books. I realized that Perilous Dark is designed for a starting warband, and so by taking them through Dark Alchemy and leveling them up a little bit first is probably technically cheating. I haven't actually played the scenarios in this book, but from what I've read online, it sounds like it can be pretty difficult, some of the scenarios in there. And I read a quote from the author stating that a 50-50 win-loss ratio should be expected. While challenge is a good thing because it adds to fun factor and to replayability, it can be problematic when you're trying to film a video series. I only have so much time to play and also so much time to edit these videos. So if I'm losing multiple times in the same scenario, I'm left with a choice of either skipping out weeks, kind of going further between my videos, or releasing the same scenario week after week of here's another time of me losing this scenario. So instead, I'm trying to go with more of a story mode for my campaign, and easing the difficulty is a good way to accomplish that goal. For this reason, I am not going to be using the optional wounded rule, and while I debated on the optional critical hit rule, I decided to go ahead and use it. Most of the scenarios specifically state there are no random encounters, but in the ones that don't state that, I will be using that optional rule. In my previous solo campaign I mentioned earlier, I placed a number of restrictions on myself with how I created my wizard and my warbands, as far as spells they could select, how often certain spells could be cast, what could be done between games, which soldiers could be hired. And that was because I wanted to try some of the spells I had never used before and some of the soldiers that I tended not to gravitate towards, just to create some different combinations and make those videos a little more interesting rather than just here's the power spells. That worked because all of my warbands were equally handicapped. However, the scenarios I'm playing with now aren't being handicapped, so I'm not placing any of those restrictions on myself. Now that doesn't mean I'm going to be creating the strongest possible wizard you can make with the core book. I'm not even sure what that is, but I am going to be building and playing to win. One other, rules change that I am making is there will be no wizard death. Since I am creating a story, I want it to focus around my wizard, and by having him die in the middle, well, that does create some drama. It's not quite the drama I want, and that will make this campaign extremely difficult, having to upgrade my apprentice to a wizard. There are a few updated rules I'll be using that aren't found in the core rulebook, and those include the potion table that's found in the Dark Alchemy book, This seemed fitting since I'm going through that book's scenarios. And from the Maze of Malcor book, I'll be using the updated rules about casting numbers and about how scrolls work. I usually use and recommend the experience chart from the Maze of Malcor book, but the scenarios I'll be playing have specific experience gains, and those scenarios don't really use either the standard or the updated experience chart. With using bricks and Lego figures for my game, there are a few problems, I guess, that arise with that. One is that Lego figures are much larger than a standard miniature, and therefore I'll be using the same brick measurement system that I used in my previous solo campaign, where 4 brick pigs equal 1 movement unit. Also, while I have plenty of figures to represent the soldiers, I'm a little more limited when it comes to monsters, and that's most of what I'll be facing off against in these scenarios. So I might be getting a little creative or perhaps uncreative with some of my adversaries. And while I have some good mega blocks for ruined exterior terrain, my interior terrain is a little limited as well. But I'll do my best to make my battlefield look interesting. One disclaimer I'll put out there is that, as I've mentioned before, I've never played any of the scenarios that I'll be going through for this campaign, so I don't know how difficult they'll be for me. If I do run into a scenario that I just can't get through, I might go ahead and release a failed attempt and then just go story mode, say that the warband found an alternate route to where they needed to go, or I might segue them away from this mission and take them through some other scenario to level them up a little bit, maybe take them against one of my other warbands or something. But we'll cross that bridge if we need to. As far as who the wizard is that I'll be using and what his warband looks like, I'll be showing them to you, introducing them to you at the start of my first battle in the Dark Alchemy campaign. And so with that, I hope that this video has got you interested in the upcoming campaign, and I hope you enjoy those videos. We want to thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to add a like or a comment below, or subscribe so you can keep up with all the content we're releasing. And with that, I'm Alan with Dad's Playing Games, and we'll see you on the next video.